let's do some food prep. We got back from a vacation a few days ago and my husband's been out of town. I haven't gone grocery shopping, so I've been pretty much living off of the scraps that we left behind before our trip. So I made a grocery list. I'm gonna do a trip, and then also I wanted to do some meal prep. This is my list of what we're gonna do this afternoon. I want to puree some carrots. We grow a bunch of carrots in our greenhouse every summer. Last winter, for the first time, we stored them all in our cellar in buckets of sand, which has done really well. But I think we're sort of towards the end, and the last few times we've gotten carrots out, they've been like a little on their way out. So I'm gonna go dig through the sand and pull up all the carrots, and then I wanted to roast them and puree them with some chicken feet stock that I made, and then I wanted to hopefully freeze some of it for my baby. I have a 7-month-old and she just started solids recently, so that was one thing I wanted to do. The second thing I wanted to do was make protein balls. I had a friend make these protein balls for me after my daughter was born, and she brought them by as like a postpartum snack, and I loved them. I lived off of them, and I've continued to make them since. And it's pretty easy. It's like oats, peanut butter, and then a bunch of like nuts and seeds. And then I store them in the freezer, and I eat like one a day, just grab them out, and it's just like a nice high protein snack. Then yesterday I bought some quail eggs. I've been feeding quail eggs to my daughter because they're super high in iron. They're nice because they're tiny, so it's just like easy portions for a baby. So I want to hard boil those. I wanted to make pesto. Also with the carrots, last fall when we pulled them all up, we had hundreds of carrots, and so we had a lot of carrot tops, and we made this pesto that was so yummy, and we've pretty much eaten off of it all winter. But we're out. Lately we've been eating like a pesto pasta every Sunday night, and I don't like buying pesto from the store, so I thought maybe I would try a batch with like spinach or arugula. I don't want to use basil because basil's not really in right now, and so buying it at the grocery store is really expensive. So I wanted to see about using like spinach or arugula and see if that tasted just as good as the carrot top one. And then the final thing was pickled onions, which super easy. I do just like basically chop up a red onion, put it in a jar with lime juice, and that pickles it. It's not like the pickling it with salt, which is that's like the slower fermented way, probably better. But I try and do this like once a week. We eat tacos every week, and the lime juice, the citric acid just pickles it super quickly, and it's really yummy. So that's what we're gonna do today. And while my baby is napping, we're gonna go down into the cellar and see how many carrots we have left in the sand. I've kind of been getting in the habit of wearing an apron every time I cook. I feel like years ago I tried wearing aprons and I just felt silly wearing them. But then I got this one. This one is Ballerina Farm. It's just like a denim apron, and it's so easy to wear, and it just doesn't feel like, I don't know. I like clothes. I sew a lot, so I wear a lot of clothes that have meaning to me, and I also cook a lot, and it's messy, and especially now having a baby. And so I'm like, if I can just wear something that like protects my clothing a little bit. I know I'm not like too attached to my clothing because I know having kids, they're gonna be stained all the time. But I've just been getting in the habit of wearing an apron, and now it just feels like normal and it doesn't feel weird anymore. So anyways, let's go into the cellar. Oh, I forgot. I probably need a bowl to put all the carrots in. Are you coming? My husband hates when I do this. All right, welcome to our cellar. We have this amazing sink down here, and honestly, we don't use it that much, but when we do use it, I'm like, this is so sweet to have this. We have a freezer down here. This is kind of our smaller one, and then we have a bigger one in our shed, and this is where we store all of our meat and everything. And then we also have a small refrigerator and little freezer storage up here. And then we have our gun safe. We have just like so much random stuff. These are all of our carrots in the sand. Oh. I might have to go get this baby. Baby is awake. Wedding rings are off. Hair is up. We're ready to dig for carrots. I have a feeling it's going to be a lot of sand and not as many carrots. Maybe this one's empty already? Okay, I'm giving up there. Ooh! It's a little cold. I have circulation issues in my hands, so I probably should have worn gloves, but here. And this is just like literally play sand. You can see the bag here. Concrete play sand. Except that when you take the carrots out, they're like covered in sand, but you just have to soak them. Nice. I mean, that carrot is firm. Like, that is crazy. We put these in here in September of last year, and it is now April, and like, that is still a very crunchy carrot. That's cool. Look at this. Some of these carrots that we grew last year were so big. I'm doing so good, girl. Okay, I think that might be it. So like not a ton, but totally enough to make a bunch of carrot puree for her. I'm gonna guess 5 pounds of carrots. No, 4. 3? I don't know. We'll weigh them. So, this is also exactly what I'm talking about with this apron. I can wash my hands and I can just dry them right here. It's so easy. Obviously aprons are not any new thing, but like now I understand why women wore aprons all the time. They had like their aprons that they wore when they were doing chores outside or when they were cooking or building a fire, and then they had like their aprons that they would wear when guests would come over that were nicer, and it just all makes sense to me. They're so practical. Alright, we're going to weigh these carrots. 4 pounds and 2 ounces. Bowl weighs like a couple ounces or like half a pound or something, then that's like 3.5, 4 pounds of carrots. That's pretty good. Okay, it is 3 p.m. I'm feeling a little bit tired, so I'm going to make an iced matcha and unload the groceries, and hopefully this baby hangs out. I'm going to turn the oven on for the carrots, and then we'll get started. Hi, baby girl. All right, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take this bowl of sandy carrots and I'm going to rinse them out. I want to get the carrots started, and I'm going to go ahead and hard boil the quail eggs right now too, so I'm just going to grab a pot and start boiling it. I'm going to fill this up with water and start boiling it, and then I'm going to clean the carrots. Okay. Baby's sleeping. Quail eggs are hard boiled and the carrots are in the oven roasting. And so I'm gonna move on to the protein balls. So this is my recipe. It's 2 cups oats. I just have old-fashioned rolled oats that I buy from Azure. And then 2 cups peanut butter, a half cup of either maple syrup or honey. I use maple syrup, a half cup of slivered almonds, a half cup of pumpkin seeds, a half cup goji berries, 1/8 cup ground flax, 1/8 cup chia seeds, 3 tablespoons cinnamon, and then like as many chocolate chips as you want. I usually do like a half a bag or like 3/4 of a bag. And you put it all in a bowl, mix it all together, and then form little balls with your hands, which is kind of the messiest part because the peanut butter melts in your hands and it's like, it's messy and it's like really sticky. But form them into balls. I put them on a baking sheet super close together, and then I put that baking sheet in the freezer and let them freeze, and then put them all in a gallon size bag and store them in the freezer. This recipe, you can take some of these out. You can add other things if you want. It's pretty flexible. Okay, protein balls are formed and they are on the tray. I'm gonna put this in the freezer. I usually keep it in the freezer for at least an hour, sometimes more. Basically whenever I remember that they're in there, which is usually like the next day. But that will freeze them so that they don't stick together, and then you can transport them into a gallon-sized Ziploc and keep them in the freezer. So carrots are not done roasting yet, so I'm gonna move on to the pickled onions, which is really easy. Slice up an onion thin, stuff it in a mason jar, squeeze some lime juice, pour it over top, and keep that in the refrigerator, and it'll be ready in a couple days. So let's do that. All right, I had to unload the memory on the camera, so I went ahead and juiced the limes, and it's probably not enough juice for both of these, but I'm just gonna, if you just get the lime juice all over the onions. But yeah, that's that. I'm gonna put the lids on these and put them in the fridge, and then we're gonna move on to the pesto. Carrots are almost done.
Do you want to read a book?
Yeah, read a book. She might like that.
Did you feel that feeling?
And I was gonna like kind of, okay. Pesto is done. It is so yummy and garlicky. The spinach worked great. I also ran out of cashews, so I used walnuts instead, and it's fine. So carrots are done. I'm gonna put them in the blender with some butter and some chicken stock, and then we're done. Carrot puree is done. If I were making it for myself, I would add a lot of salt, but haven't really started giving her salt yet. Somebody gave me a bunch of these little jars with silicone lids, and so I'm gonna fill these up and then put them in the freezer, and we'll probably just take one out every week for her to eat off of. They are Wee Sprout. All right, these are going in the freezer. That's it. Now I've got a whole lot of dishes to clean up, so thanks for coming along.